Well, you know, I love reading your Japan Camera Hunter, but I always get this question, and for one is, how do you maintain that lifestyle living abroad? You know, just selling cameras, or do you do
Um,
something else on the side?
no, this is my full-time job.
Okay.
Um, I worked in the camera supply industry in Tokyo
Okay.
previously, and I had a lot of connections in the industry. So I decided to go and work for myself after a while, realizing that I could find the things that people wanted, and I already had sort of a customer base.
Okay.
Um, so I find cameras for people through the website, but I also have corporate customers as well, corporate clients who um, ask me for a set amount of items or a set series of items, which is also a sort of stable income. And I have the shop on the website, which generates income. I do the photo workshops.
Uh,
Um, so there's multiple ways that as you say, maintain this lifestyle. I've lived in Japan for 8 years.
Now, was that just like out of nowhere move, or was it
No,
something?
I'd been traveling around. I'd lived in Australia, I'd lived in New Zealand, I'd traveled around Asia, I'd lived in Europe. Uh,
Oh, sorry.
yeah,
Sorry about
no problem. And so, one of the places that I hadn't been was Japan, and I was offered to go there. And I went with the intention of staying for a short while, 6 months to a year. And I ended up staying longer, and before I knew it, it was 8 years. It was actually 8 years last month. So
that. It's a
yeah,
good anniversary to celebrate.
yeah. I actually celebrated it when I was in America.
Oh yeah.
So that was kind of funny, but yeah, I've been here for a long time, and I speak Japanese, not fluently, but enough to be able to do what I need to do with regards to my work. So
Now,
yeah.
like most of the street photographers that you have met, has it been through your business, or is it just your own artistic projects that have led
Actually,
you?
yeah, the meeting photographers has mainly been through my work and the work of my friends like Charlie Kirk and Eric Kim and people like that. That's how I've come to meet a lot of street photographers, and there's also groups of street photographers in Tokyo, which I don't think we have membership in what you could call membership. It's very informal, but we
Yeah,
just know each other. So yeah,
yeah.
I've met a lot of people through that, and then from doing the workshops, I've met more.
Now,
So
for people like, I know that for a lot of new photographers getting into things, they tend to think that the only practical way to make money is usually wedding photographers
hmm
or portrait photographers.
right,
Now, but at the same time, I'm seeing that as cameras are getting more available, a lot
mm
of the growing photographers want to take street photography,
mm
like Instagrams, those type of stuff. Now,
yeah.
to those who are interested in it, how do you see like a more practical way for them to get their work out, or maybe uh, your friends, how do they make a living doing that type
Well,
of work?
I'll be honest with you. None of my friends make a living, but there's only one who makes a full-time living from street photography, and that would be Eric Kim.
Okay.
But he makes a living from teaching photography, not from his photography. Um, I don't really. I mean, there are so few who actually make a full-time living from street
Yeah.
photography. Um, and even the guys I know who do who are full-time photographers, they make their living from commercial work,
Oh, okay.
be it fashion, be it weddings, be it product photography. You know, these things. Street photography is a passion for them because at the end of the day, you're not really going to make a lot of money from it. That's just basically not going to happen unless you're remarkably good and doing something very different from everyone else,
Yeah.
or extraordinarily lucky. You know, I know some very, very, very skilled street photographers, Shinya Arimoto being one, who they teach photography. That's how they make their living.
Okay.
So, you know, if you really want to do something photography related as your work, you know, don't expect that either street photography or the thing that you're really passionate about is going to make you money. You're going to have to find other revenue incomes. You know, I love doing what I do as Japan Camera Hunter. I really do.
Yeah.
It is a passion of mine. But my other passion is taking photographs. I know that I'm quite... I've worked as a photographer before, and I don't like being told what to take pictures of. I don't like being told what to do. So I found that I couldn't work as a photographer because I didn't get on with people. So,
I mean, I agree. I had the same experience. You know, taking pictures is very hard, especially when you're taking sometimes even with friends, and
yeah,
they believe that there's a professional way of doing it, and you know, so
yeah,
it tends to be a clash. Yeah.
yeah. I just ended up thinking, how can I be involved with photography yet not have to do what everybody tells me to do? Which is one of the reasons, not reasons, but it's one of the sort of avenues that led to making JapanCameraHunter.com. So, yeah.
Now, for like your business, is it a very hands-on? Like, do you go out to these used camera stores to actively hunt it out?
Absolutely, absolutely. What is really important for me is that my customers get the very best that they possibly can for their money. And I know, you know, I do have some collectors where money is no object. But I also know that I have some people who, you know, they've got a bit of a tight budget and they want to get the best they possibly can. I don't treat anybody any differently. It doesn't matter if you've got $100,000 or $150. You're still going to get the same treatment. And I really enjoy going out to the camera shops. I have a very good relationship with, I'd say, over 50 camera shops in Tokyo who know me.
That's a big number.
And, you know, so it's good for me to make the rounds. It's good for me to go out. And even if I'm not buying anything, just to go and see these people. But, you know, when somebody says, I want so-and-so camera, if I can find it online, I'll find it online. If it means I have to go to a store, fine, I'll go to a store and pick it up. That's not a problem. But I'll always tell my customer exactly how much the camera will cost beforehand. You know, there's no hidden fees, no hidden charges. It's, here you go. You know, and this is the best one I can find for the money.
Now, how long did it take for you to get that idea to stick with you? That you could, you know, essentially this is what you wanted to do for your business of selling these used cameras or collectibles?
Well, what had happened was I was already working for a company in Tokyo, quite a famous one, and part of my job was as a camera buyer.
Oh, okay.
And I realized I quite enjoyed that job, and I had to leave the job because of health reasons at the time. I got quite sick, and I couldn't continue in the position that I was in. So originally this camera hunter thing came from I needed to spend a bit of time away from work,
Okay.
but it sort of turned into full time again, which is fine by me because I really enjoy the job, and the stresses of the job don't stress me as much as they would other people. I think, I don't know. You know, I get to find the things that I want to find. I'm like a kid in a candy store, you know. I still get this sense of glee when I find something really special. You know, it's like I'm going to go and pick up a lens today, a 1000mm mirror reflex Nikon lens, and it's a huge beast of a lens.
1000mm.
Yeah, some people would think, "Oh God, you've got to carry that around," and I'm like, I don't care because I get to see it and hold
The
it,
rarity.
and, you know, play with it, and so that's exciting for me.
Yeah.
It's constantly exciting.
Now I'm actually planning to maybe in October, November to visit Japan.
Right, sure.
Yeah, and so I'm a first-timer solo traveler.
Right.
What would you recommend me to get in touch with? Or maybe the best city to see around?
Well, how long have you got?
A good 2 to 3 months, actually.
3 months
Yeah.
in Tokyo, in Japan?
Yeah.
Oh, then, I mean, Tokyo, obviously, that's where you'll land. Osaka, Kyoto. Osaka's like the industrial base. Kyoto is the cultural base. Nikko, Hakone if you want to go to an onsen, you know, hot spring. If you can go down to Hiroshima, go and check out Hiroshima. It's quite a way, but it's worth going. If you can make it, Okinawa, it's like a different planet. You know, it's like I'm in Japan, but it's not Japan. It's this tropical wonderland. Hokkaido, Sapporo. You know, I mean, it depends on your budget because you can literally go everywhere. You know, but the big cities, yeah, the Kyoto's, the Osaka, so on.
Now, like in your own experience with first going to Japan, how do you get in touch with that type of photography community? You know.
Actually, you know, it took a while. Because when I first came here, there wasn't really so much of a I mean, Flickr was like nothing, and you know, Facebook didn't exist. You know, so and
social
Twitter,
networking.
social networking basically didn't really. There was MySpace, which was rubbish. So, you know, I just went out and took pictures by myself. And it wasn't until I started working in the industry that I got to meet more photographers.
Oh, okay.
And once you meet one or two or three, you start meeting more and more and more and more. And then all of a sudden it seems like everybody's a photographer. So after a while, it got to the point of, well, I'm a photographer. I've got a, you know, Nikon D40 or something. Yeah. And now, you know, I kind of tend to stick with a small group of people who are the I guess what you could call street photographers.
Okay.
People who are more serious about taking a picture as opposed to people who are just taking snapshots of, you know, the city scenes from a tall building or something.
Now, since you are, you know, a world traveler, what was the very big appeal to Japan? Maybe even on an artistic level.
Well, there wasn't really. It was kind of an accident that I came here. You know, it was just like, man, I'll go there. Why the hell not? There was no, oh, I must go to Japan. I must go to Japan. I know a lot of guys who come here are like, oh, I'm so excited to Japan, you know, manga and Godzilla and anime and geisha and I don't give a crap. I don't think I've ever read a manga in my life, you know. I'm not into all of that super kawaii Japanese culture. You know, it doesn't.
Yeah.
I'm here for the cameras, and it's a good lifestyle here. It
Yeah.
is a good lifestyle. I like. I can't say that it's a beautiful place in terms of a city. Tokyo is very built up. It's very, very cluttered. Um, but that offers a different perspective from the places that we're used to. You know,
Yeah.
for you, the States, for me, the UK, you know, the wider streets, the tree-lined avenues, things like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen here. So you get to look at things from a different perspective, which is quite fun. I really enjoy it, seeing how different Japan is. And there's lots of contradictions here as well, you know.
Yeah. I think
Uh,
that's what makes great street photography in
yeah,
general. Yeah.
yeah. But it's not just that. Japan is so full. And I noticed it. I was walking down the street in LA a couple of weeks ago, and you know, even on a busy street like on Melrose or in Hollywood or something, it wasn't that busy. You know, there weren't
Yeah.
that many people. But I've walked down streets in Tokyo, like in Shibuya or Harajuku, where it's literally shoulder to shoulder. You're just jam packed. There's people on the
Yeah.
street, and that makes for really up close street photography
Yeah.
because you have to be up close because you are right next to people. And I was saying to my students in America, get closer, and they said, "Oh, I can't. You know, it's too." And I suddenly
Yeah.
realized, yeah, it is more difficult to get closer because people will notice. Whereas in Japan, I can be less than a meter away taking a picture, and people won't notice. You know,
Yeah.
they'll just walk past.
Now, on that note, do you feel like that sense of distance works here in the state too? Or do you think maybe you should adjust it,
No,
change the way you shoot? Or
no, I just kept on going the way I was before. I was getting really close to people when I was down in like the fabric district and stuff. I
Oh,
was, you know, sort of. I just thought, why not try it? Why not give it a go? And nobody had a problem with it. It was not an issue. I don't see why I should change my style. I mean, you have to obviously adapt to your environment.
yeah.
And certain times you have to think to yourself, well, probably this wouldn't be appropriate. You know, getting right up close to somebody
Yeah.
in certain situations might cause more trouble than it's worth. But, you know, you shouldn't try and compromise your style. You
That's
know,
a good
be true
note.
to who you are as a photographer.
Yeah. And on that, I just want to say thank you very much for having this interview with me.
Sure,
And
sure. No problem.
it's great because what my company I wanted to focus on is that there's a lot of aspects of businesses I think that people would be interested in if they knew about. And I thought
Yeah,
your company is very interesting because it's both a lifestyle and what you enjoy.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you
Yeah.
very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.